Now, imagine being diagnosed with diabetes at age 15 after your mother's leg was amputated due to the same condition. This is the reality Dorcas Olage is struggling to come to terms with. Her mother, Mercy Obojo, now faces the grim possibility of her second leg also being amputated, as it shows familiar signs of trouble. They share their story as part of our latest hotline documentary, Non-Communicable Diseases, The Silent Epidemic, co-produced by Emmanuel Jivenu and Sarah Abla D'Souza. Here are excerpts.
When a daughter does not know how to interpret her emotions after being diagnosed with diabetes at age 15, the only sentiment she can dig up is hate.
I really felt bad and it hurts me a lot. It goes to some time I even regretted she was my mother, because I was like, if she's not my mother, I wouldn't have gotten that sickness.
A tough admission, though this sentiment has changed over time. From gaining a better understanding, the fear of her mother's fate befalling her lingers. Mercy Ogbojo lost her left leg in September 2022, 15 years after her diagnosis. The once busy trader is now confined to her home.
Ijua ihuawachi nijua. Sepio ninge store hulo province store. Sepio kan yo no hiyo. Yo apenya gbafu lopio le ichu enuku. Pingewe.
This life-altering procedure was the only way to keep her alive.
And kwa egbainya. Se ja time munen ehiam kra ineno konya. Ne doctor binka kapuina niyo. La ema penya gba ka maham. Lo esane apona no kone mo no ma pe free. Ne ko ba san no. Se na po no hu lololu o ka ke one pie. Lo hu enyinya gba.
Behind this show of strength is a deep-seated fear of the unknown. 2 years after the amputation, her right leg is showing signs she's familiar with. Mercy fears this could end her life.
When we talk about diabetes, we're looking at 3 key things. One is a chronic metabolic disorder. And why is the disorder? The disorder is that the person is either not making adequate insulin, or the person is producing the insulin, but the insulin is not functioning or working efficiently or effectively. So there's a problem with quantity, and there's also a problem with the quality. And then you can also have a combination of the two happening, where the insulin production is a problem and its function is also a problem. And once insulin is not working properly, then it means that the amount of sugar, what we call glucose in the blood, that the insulin has to help move into the cells of the body for the body to burn, stays in the blood. And then the sugar goes up. 1 month course of a newer anti-diabetic agent may be in the range of 400 to 600 Ghana cedi. So if the person has to be on antihypertensive as well, then you're looking at moving into the thousands.
She traces the disease to her father and uncle, a secret both men had kept from their children. Their silence may have been driven by the fear of stigma, denial, or maybe a desire to protect their loved ones from worry. This is a mistake Mercy has refused to make.
I've been following my mom to check up. So they've been telling me that because I'm the only child of my mother and then I'm the firstborn also, it can be heredity. So I should take good care of myself.
The non-modifiable risk factors may contribute between 30 to 40% of your diabetes risks, whilst the modifiable risk factors contribute almost 60 to 70%. So if you're able to handle those that you can do something about, then those that you cannot do, those you can do something about would overshadow what you cannot do anything about. Now, what are the things you cannot do anything about? That is the non-modifiable risk factors. The fact that you are black, you cannot do anything about your aging. The other thing you cannot do anything about is your genetic predisposition. That is your family history. So if diabetes runs through your family, then you stand a higher risk of also developing diabetes. Now, what are some of the modifiable things? What are some of the things we can do something about? Things like inactivity, weight gain, excessive alcohol intake, and then things like eating food that are so refined. They all put you at higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Well, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Dacosta Boaje, says a committee has been set up to look into the various types of non-communicable diseases that the scheme could cover. He also stressed the need for concerted effort by stakeholders to promote the message of preventive measures for NCDs. He spoke to Faustina Safo on NewsDesk.
So if you look at our healthcare architecture, it has actually been focusing on curative. And I think it's now time to introduce the preventive measures in such a way that it will contribute to addressing some of these NCDs. And I mean, looking at the video, it is really pathetic that preventable diseases are now a major cost burden on families and the nation. So I think we must actually look at addressing some of these NCDs from the basis when we introduce preventive healthcare as part of our healthcare architecture. So from the National Health Insurance, I think from next month or even this month, from July, we will be starting an annual health check model when blood sugar, blood pressure, and weight will actually be introduced as part of our benefit package. There is a committee that is chaired by Dr. Nafiba with all the experts on the table to see how we can finance the preventive aspect of these non-communicables, as obviously we believe that is the next pandemic and we must tackle it to reduce our healthcare cost burden. Institutions, you see, so we need an all-society approach. You know, Prof made a very important point where the responsibility is not on the health service. The responsibility in terms of education and the choices we make is on all Ghanaians, and also it's also on the various institutions. Like, for example, we're doing what we call planting for food and jobs. You see, how can we make sure that we plant vegetables, we plant these fruits in such a way that it becomes cheaper for the population? You see, so how can the Ministry of Agri actually make sure that they reduce, obviously they focus on these vegetables and fruits? When you come to the other sectors, what is their contribution in reducing these NCDs? So, for example, I also know from the health sector point of view, there is something that we call One Health. The One Health approach actually talks about reducing the intake of, for example, meat. So how can we as a nation have what we call like meatless day, or maybe meatless Monday, for example? See, those are the lifestyle choices that Prof is talking about that's going to help. Because for NHI, we are the financier, but we don't really want to wait for people to get sick before we start to pay. We want to reduce our cost burden. So we are saying that our healthcare system cannot continue to be on curative. Preventive healthcare should be introduced.
Well, Professor Abekah-Nkrumah, Senior Lecturer in Public Administration and Health Services Management at the University of Ghana Business School, says Ghanaians need to start making healthier lifestyle choices.
So for those who are in school, I would imagine we introducing NCD promotion and preventive measures in the school curriculum so that kids in school can be taught and they would understand the importance of making sure they stick to better lifestyles and better feeding. And for instance, those in school, the rich kids are the ones feeding on all these junks. Education at that level can help us. And for those who come from poor homes, and because of that, their nutrition is bad and their systems are becoming are adapting to being predisposed to NCDs. Things like the school feeding can be strengthened to ensure that we take care of those ones. And then for those at the middle who have a higher predisposition, we talked about feeding. So if it is feeding, access to vegetables in Ghana is not easy. And even when you have access, the quality is also questioned. I believe that the Ministry of Agri can handle this issue by ensuring there is, for instance, a module on the planting for food and jobs, which focuses on house gardening. And at that level, people can actually be encouraged to do household gardening so that they can have access to good quality vegetables. So yes, I hear what you are saying. Mangoes are expensive. But the point is that we need to encourage people that there are cheaper alternatives. People can sit on draft for hours. Some of those hours can be invested into household gardening. And I think that these are life choices that we make. We are not going to get to any point where you would have access to everything you need. But in life, we make choices.
Well, our latest documentary, NCDs, The Silent Epidemic, airs at 8:30 tonight on Joy News channel. You can also watch it on demand on Joy News YouTube channel. And this is something that you must watch. I mean, basically, taking care of yourself, using the very little things that will stay you out of these ailments. Now,